Hello, John Bloodworth, Gentleman Crafter here again with another Canvas Workspace hack. I've noticed a lot of people doing vinyl and working with tumblers, and a lot of you have asked how to get the text to go straight around a slope-sided container. So I'm going to show you today one way of doing that. Just before I continue with this demonstration, I'd like to remind you that over on Udemy.com I have a full cut, draw and scan with confidence course covering everything you need to know about the scan and cut, so please do check that out. The first thing that we need to do is go onto the internet and go to a website called templatemaker.nl, and that's important to get that right. Basically, this website gives you the option of creating all sorts of different templates for different types of shapes and projects. And one of those is a truncated cone, which essentially is a slope-sided container like a vase or a tumbler or a glass or a votive candle holder. Now what you'll do is you'll measure various different parameters, type them into these boxes, choose the output and then download a cutting file. Or, well, an SVG anyway. There may be some editing we need to do, but we'll take a look as we go along. So the first thing that I'm going to need to do is enter the top diameter of the cone. And this is essentially the, let's say the widest part. In the example here, obviously it's the thinnest part. So you could always flip these and do them inversely, but it's important to get both dimensions in to get the right shape. So I am going to use this candle holder as an example. Let me just make sure I've got that in shot. And I've got some digital calipers. You don't necessarily need those. You can just use a regular ruler. But I'm going to measure that. So that is 89 millimeters across the top at the widest point. So I'll type that in there. And then on the bottom, it is... And what I'm trying to do is get to the point where there's no curve on the bottom of the glass. So it's still kind of a straight slope side, and that's 65 millimeters. So I will type that in there. Now the height obviously is from top to bottom. So again, I will go there. And that is 80 millimeters for me, so 80. And you can see how over here on the right, this is updating as we type in the measurements for our particular container. So it will work generally for most small slope-sided containers. I think you will struggle with things like the tall tumblers because you've got to basically get it all into a 12 by 12 sheet. And that may not work because of the height. And of course, when Canvas Workspace imports it, it will try and reduce the size to fit within that 12 by 12 area. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to work for everything, but it's one way of working with the smaller slope-sided, this is not easy to say, slope-sided containers. Now the glue flap angle I'm going to ignore. The glue flap size is basically this end part. So it's assuming you're doing a full wrap and you're going to stick the end to the end. I don't need that, so I'm actually going to set that to 0. And there you go, it's taken it off completely. Now, for that reason, there may be extra nodes put on here. So I'm actually going to go back in and set it to, oh, not 0, 2, just 2. Maybe even actually put it back to 10. And I can chop it off later. That's an important point to look out for. And I'll explain why when we get over to Canvas Workspace. Now here where it says page size, instead of fit to drawing, click on this box and then go to 12 by 12 for desktop cutting plotters. For different shapes, you might find it fits better with the 12 by 20 formats, and obviously you've got a portrait and a landscape option there as well. I tend to work with mostly 12 by 12, so I stick to that. Now, margin 10, that's basically the margin that we're leaving between the edge of the cutting mat or the edge of the cutting area and the shape itself. I'm going to leave that as it is. The resolution I will leave as it is. And down here from this selection, I'm going to choose SVG. Cricut also exports as an SVG, but it actually exports each line as an individual element rather than being one whole shape. DXF may not actually retain the appropriate dimensions either. So we need to make sure that we go for SVG. And then when we click Create, it says Creating Template, and then it should start the download. Assuming your internet's working properly. Mine's just all over the place lately. Now, this website is free, but the creator does ask for donations. So if you would like to leave them a donation, if you feel it's been very useful to you, please feel free. I normally do, but what I do is I'm not going to do it here now because you'll end up seeing my bank details, and I'm not having that. So anyway, I've obviously already tried a couple of these today just to check this out. So I've got the name there. You can give it a different name if you'd like, and then just click Save. Now we can head back over to Canvas Workspace, and what we will do is go to the File menu and choose Import from your computer. Navigate to the place you saved it, and then click Open. Now it says some objects in the file could not be imported. I'm not too worried, but what I am going to do is I'm actually just going to group these, and I'm going to duplicate them. And hopefully you'll understand why in a minute. Now I'm going to select both groups and then align them using the Align Objects on the Edit tab, both horizontally and vertically, so they're sitting on top of each other. Now I'm going to go back into my Layers tab, and I'm going to lock the bottom layer. This is going to act like a guide for me, or a grid, so that I can see where the line should have been, because I'm going to have to edit some nodes in a minute. Now this shape we want to keep, because that's where we're going to actually add some text in a minute. This shape for the flap I'm going to get rid of, because we don't need it. And then this shape I'm going to select, go over so my cursor changes, and then click to enter the node editing mode. Now these two nodes at the bottom I don't need, because I don't need that flap. And then what I'm going to do is zoom in to each of these corners and just make sure there is only one node. Because with this particular template, sometimes it's creating nodes on top of each other, and as you can see here, it has. So as I've dragged that out, I can now delete that, and I'll just do that one more time. Now it's dragging the whole thing, so I'll Control Z to undo to put that back. Reselect the shape and click on it again for node editing. So that one's fine. I'll now move over to the other corner. And again, just check. No, okay, so we've got more than one there. So I'm going to move that back as far as I can without it snapping on top of the other. Then I'm going to delete that node, the corner node. I don't want to delete the node that's got this handle coming out of it, because that's what controls the curve. Once I've deleted the other one, I can take this one back onto that corner, and you see how that's snapping into place? That's because I've got that grouped selection underneath, acting as a guide for this particular template. So it's snapping onto the previous one. So I know I'm retaining that shape. Now, excuse me, just going back down to the other corner, bottom corner, and again just moving this off. Okay, so I've got double nodes there. Again, I can get rid of that one. And then the final corner over on the bottom right. Okay, now you see how this is coming away, but it's not got anything connecting this. That's because this is now an open shape. Most of the templates actually that export as SVG from the template maker website actually export as open shapes, and this can cause you issues if you're trying to weld or subtract things from that shape. That's fine, we can close it. With that node selected, I go up here and click Close Outline. That then connects those 2 points. And I can then get rid of that node there, just so that it's a straight line going across there. And I'm just going to check that's fine. Nope, we still had an extra node in there as well. So again, I'm just bringing that down as far as I can go without it snapping in place. Select this other one and delete it. Double check this, and there we go. Okay. So I am done with that underlying one now, so I can unlock it and delete it. Now what I'm left with is the shape, which will be the cutting outline for the main shape, and then this line in the middle. Okay, so I want to add some text to that. So let's type in what I'm making or what I'm decorating, candle. So we know we enter the text. I'll choose a different font, I think, for this, just to see if this will work. Let's try this one. I think I will resize it. Okay. Yes, I think that'll work fine. Now, for the moment, I'm going to lock this bottom layer, the main shape, so that I can just select these 2 things, the line and the shape, and then go over to the fit to path. Excuse me. Now, fit to path is grayed out. Why is that? That is because this shape is in a group. So I need to select that individually. I need to select the group and then ungroup it. So now I can just select the shape and the text. I could have locked this bottom layer again, but as I can select these 2 from the layers panel, it wasn't really necessary. I go back over to the Edit tab, and now the Fit to Path is available. So I click Fit to Path, and that's put the text on the path, but it's upside down and it's in the wrong place. So I'm going to go up to the controls in the context menu at the top. I'm going to choose Center as the horizontal distribution. I am going to click Middle to put the text on the middle of that line, and then I'm going to change the last one to End to Start, and that should move things around sufficiently to fit where I need them to go. Now let's just try and see if top will make a difference. Bottom will make a difference. That's a bit too high up. So I'm going to go for middle again, but I can just shift it around a bit when I'm done. But you can see now that that text is curving around, and that's exactly what I need, because basically when this gets formed into a cone, that's then going to run horizontally around my votive candle holder. I need to weld that text though, so I'm going to convert to shapes. And then I'm going to, not in the layers, in the Edit tab, I shall choose Weld. And that will weld my shapes together. Now, if you have the vinyl cutting blade, you do have the option to automatically add a weeding box. However, if you don't, then you can just put a rectangle over the top. Okay, so I think I've got everything there. What I need to do now is go over to my machine. Actually, I need to send this first, don't I? Export transfer, and then I'll transfer it via Wi-Fi. Off it goes. Ta-ra, love. Now, what I need to do after I've cut the vinyl is also cut a piece of transfer tape. Now you could cut a large piece that will fit over this. However, to get one that will actually match the shape that we've got, what I'm going to do is hide the text, hide the weeding box, select the shape, and then in the Edit tab, I am going to create an offset. And I'm going to do it at 1/4 inch. Send it outward, corner type. Yeah, let's leave it as round. I'll leave the original one there, create the offset around the outside edge. Yes. Okay, so that's created that. Now I need to hide and lock the original cone shape and then just move this within the cutting area. That's then going to cut as a piece of transfer tape, assuming you've got something big enough, to pick up our design and wrap around the candle. So I'll cut that again using the scan and cut machine. I'm not too fussed if it's on half cut or not, because I'm going to peel it off the sheet anyway. And if I'm doing a number of these, I can reuse that same piece. So once I've cut it all on the machine, I will join you in the work area and we'll see about applying this to our candle holder. Okay, so I have all of my bits gathered. I've got the candle, my pokey tool, the tweezers just in case I need them, the transfer tape or transfer sheet. This one's from Brother. You can of course use any you've got available. And then I've got my vinyl sheet here. Now, although I did say add a weeding box, strictly not necessary if you're just using the text from the center, because you could just peel away this part and access the text. But if you're going to use that part as a stencil, the weeding box is helpful. Weeding out all the little bits in the letters as well. And time for the transfer tape. So as I mentioned, I cut this slightly larger than the actual design, but you might find it easier if you cut it the same size. Hopefully this is basically an inspiring video and you will give it a go yourself and try out different combinations to see what works for you. I'm not laying down the law or creating rules, just giving you ideas. When you've got the transfer tape down, rub hard with something soft, your fingertip, I don't know, your nose, and hopefully that will be enough to catch the vinyl. Then we're going to take it over to the candle. Again, it's up to you if you want to start at one end and roll around to the other. I tend to try and fumble as much as possible, as you can see here. So I tried to prop the candle up with the tweezers, and that kind of worked. And I thought it might be an idea to start with the text first, so that I can make sure that's in the right place before I start sticking it all down, and then wrapped it around. Okay, and there you go. So I hope this has proved useful and given you an idea of what you can do with vinyl. Thanks for watching. That's it for this time. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And for more from me in the future, please remember to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.